I'd like that. After years and years and years, well, what's the next generation? What's your inheritance? What's the future? Can we run? Can we hide? Impossible. So what do we as Texians, because we've declared ourselves Texians, what course of action is laid out before us? So we put the flag on our car and trucks, put one out in the street, and tell everybody that we don't want to offend, or those that maybe we do want to offend, that we're Texian. We hear the nationalist movement, we hear the secessionist movement, we hear this movement, that movement, woke group therapy. And let's move on down here to, as a result, those treaty rights were not invoked when they should have been. What he's talking about is, when I read the pleadings in those cases, I've been struck by the fact that frequently the accused person was represented by a court-appointed attorney who in many of these cases did not know of these treaty rights given to the person he was supposed to represent in the judicial proceedings. In some of those cases, the prosecution team was equally unaware of this. As a result, those treaty rights were not invoked when they should have been. This has led to a series of international disputes discussed at the highest level. One of these cases, even at the head of state level, being sent to the International Court for a binding decision and for general clarification of the legal position in this type. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever had to hire an attorney. I have no offense against attorneys. They're people. But how many of you were fully represented for your cause? I'd ask for a show of hands, but I don't need it. Well, here's the same issue that's occurring now, because in the international issue, whether it's EPA, whether it's labor, whether it's your exhaust, whatever, this transformation has taken place while we've slept. And that's what the Republic of Texas is about. Understanding the treaty. Sometimes we look at it and we think it's complicated. Some of these agreements, because whether you understand it, the union is merely an organization. It's defined as an organization. Members join. Now, we don't want to go there. It's an evil bunch. Now what happens? We sit here in our group therapy, and it overcomes us anyway, because every walk, everything, every principle, every aspect of your life is regulated in some form or fashion in that international community. Myself, because I was raised with some superstition. I think most of it happened. Myself, I look at it a lot clearer. Understanding that this is the 21st century, and if I'm a Texian, what do? What do you do? You have to understand. Because 30 years ago, when I first got involved in the so-called Patriot movement, there was one little clause, a scripture, always on most of the papers. It says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge." Now, I looked at it and I can analyze it in two ways. If we're his people and we're still being destroyed, something don't add up, because knowledge is increased. Either we have the wrong knowledge or we're not his people. Any other conclusions? I don't know. There's no gray area. It's either left or right, good or evil. So what knowledge are we understanding, or what are we so bent and attentive on as to making us not be destroyed? One thing, you have to accept the fact. 21st century. 21st century tells me that the 20th century ain't here no more. Where do we go? We have to have an understanding. And in that understanding, the facts and the law are presented to us very plainly. We don't like what's taking place. And those people, even if they don't attend a rally as such, they'll sit there and they'll tell you because they love group therapy. So in understanding that principle of the 21st century, what we live in, what's taking place, then we look at it and we say, well, what broke what we don't like? There had to be a cause, had to be an effect. Most of it is ourselves. It's hard to be committed. I didn't want to come here this morning. But you come for a reason. You want to understand, for those that are visitors and those that are unserved, as to who these crazy Texians are. What they are is the same that you look at history as far as the original founding of the colonies. They were self-determined people. They were a people. Didn't have anything to do with height, weight, color, religion. It had to do with a commitment for something better. They petitioned. We petitioned. And we're still in the same place. So I had followed fairly closely the work of the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia. Some senior members of the Dutch bar appeared in one or two of the more important cases that have come before that tribunal. Now, I've mentioned the UN, and there's the tribunal, the International Court of Justice. There's also another tribunal called the Criminal Court. Its rules are based on the wrong statute. And I've also, whether you got it or not, I mentioned the law of the sea, or the tribunal is the law of the sea. This is the international. This is the world, that accumulation, because the UN is a legislative branch to create legislation. And they do it for your good, for your well-being. I hope you didn't buy that. But what you've done, what I've done, when I say you, is because I've been silent on these issues, I've let it transpire. That's the educate. That's the reason when you have, shake this thing up, see if it works. When I've mentioned these tribunals, when I mention the Republic of Texas as to be a nation among other nations, you have to understand those rules that apply. Because they apply anyway, whether you like it or not, whether you understand it or not, every day of your life. And it's going to grow. And it's growing. The right or the wrong of it, the good or the bad of it. If you're Haman Reed, I say Haman Reed, if you understand your biblical stories of Esther and Mordecai, Haman gets up there, and he don't like them people. So he writes legislation to get rid of those people. Now, if you look at this issue as far as Washington, little 10 square mile, it's all a 10 square mile area. If I was a senator and I had connections and there was a treaty that was being negotiated and they knew that it had to be ratified by a certain portion or branch, and I seen that it would affect the stocks over here on this little company that builds widgets. They build widgets. And the widget's only 29 cents a share right now. But if the motivation's in the right place and the compensation's there, I may privately get on the phone, buy me 200,000 of that stock. The guy said, the dude must be crazy. This stuff hadn't moved in Oklahoma. Sign the treaty. What happens? Now, because of that regulation, now we look back at the stock market and that 29-cent stock is worth $130 a share. Do you like solar power, wind power, all those things? How much did Obama pump into the solar industry? I say Obama, he was just one of them. You see today, the border is open. Why? Because they can. They can do it as long as you have your group therapy. Don't you like group therapy? Makes me feel good. I sleep better. I can relax. I'm glad to get that off my chest. When you read and understand self-determination, it is the will of the people. That's what the original founders' foundation was about. It was the will of the people. Not to pick at hairs or anything other than that, but we understand that even through a poll recently, they said 97% of the people in Texas didn't want affordable health care. Who's the other 3%? That's who knows. If you're in Texas and you don't want health care, affordable health care, yet over here they want it, guess what they tell you? Whether you want it or not, you got it. Now, is that the will of the people? Of course not. So what do we do? It's strange that most have no answers. There's no answer. There's no remedy. There's confusion. Where does that confusion stem from? Well, we want that's public education. They educate me in public school, and I should read it. It ain't my fault. Ain't my fault. I didn't have to do that. I didn't like school. But we continue to float along without a solution. Now, first of all, whether some of you do or don't, I don't know, but your solution is in God Himself. And some people are a little afraid to say that. I don't have a problem with it. I'm born and raised in Texas. We say what we want to say. If you don't like it, it's your problem, not mine. Now, a lot of people When they look at the Bible, they have a problem with it. Again, I say, that's your problem. That ain't mine. Because like in understanding international law, or cause and the root of what we are now feeling today, I have to study. I have to. Well, I don't have to, but I don't live in Colorado or Berkeley, California, where I can get that medical marijuana. But there's something that drives a few of us. That's the reason this small numbers accumulate. There's something within you that still holds on to a promise. Like I said, I don't know how many months ago, I told people at a meeting, I said, what I want you to do is, if you don't want to get involved, if you don't want to do anything, if all you want to do is listen and sit back, then what I would like for you to do is get a piece of paper, write your name up at the top, and address it to your grandchildren. You address this to your grandchildren and put everything in there for the reason you didn't stand against your parents. Because when they get old enough, they're going to ask the question, where's Grandma and Grandpa doing? Why is it I'm under this system so oppressive, totalitarianism, like a tongue twister? Why are we under this? Because that's what you're headed to. That's where you are headed. I think most of us can agree. Well, if it was just me, myself, and I here, I agree with myself. You're headed quickly, speedily, rapidly. A lot of verbs in there. You're moving at a pace you ain't never seen before. And you don't even realize what they've already drawn up for you. So what do we do? The only answer I have for you right now is to understand this handful, 2 handful, small number, are standing. They're standing. Do they have all the answers? Ain't no way. But we've made a determination to resist. Are we putting white powder in envelopes and mailing there now? No, we don't do that. Do we car bombs? No, we don't do that. Because we're faith-based, not in each other, but the same God that those founders of the American colonies and the Republic of Texas, that's where we first go to. We inquire of Him. Why? Some people don't quite grasp an understanding of the League of Nations when it began, the League before the UN, the permanent court, such like that. When you understand the story, when the walls of Jericho went down, that leader inquired of God. He told them what to do. You have to get back there and boom, show the city, boom, do this, do that. They come down. He did his thing. Did what he was told to. Went on down the road for a little ways. See, here comes these little people dressed up, all dirty, raggedy, everything else. Come up to us and said, we've heard of you. We know about you. Don't destroy us. Don't kill us. Please. Please don't. What's that leader tell him? Okay, cool. No problem. We'll do that. So he goes on down the road, going down to the next city. They come up to the next city. Who's there? That same bunch that come to meet him before. They said they were far away. And they was right down the block. In doing that, that leader, that head of state, made an agreement with those people so he couldn't destroy them. And then along years pass, here comes this other king, and he's going to come in and destroy that little community. And this other leadership had to go in and take care and protect them. That forms a league, the League of Nations. It was done with good intent. It worked partly. It progressed. We came to then World War I. World War I devastated the known world at the time. Look at your history channel. We get half of that right. We think that we went bankrupt because of Roosevelt, all these others, countries broke. But they didn't tell you that the whole world was broke. It was devastated. Europe, Africa, all these other, they were broke also. So then the only way we can correct this situation is come in, regulate, and do this, blah, blah, blah. We have an agreement because we met together and we all come to an agreement, and we'll establish this Federal Reserve. Sounded good. Everybody over here is a little upset because I told you you had to give up Grandpa's gold double eagle. I guess they'd done it to Europe before they done it to you. Why? It was an international agreement, the beginning. So we look at the issues. I could go on just like this man said. I could go on and on and on and on. I don't know where Sally, she's supposed to be raising my time, telling me I'm talking too much. But the point being is, when you look and you dig and you understand, you see the root cause. And then in that root cause, as with Haman and his legislation, Esther changed the king's heart so that he couldn't change that legislation, but he wrote other legislation so that they could defend themselves. And because they inquired first, they understood it. And that's us in the Republic of Texas. Not all of us. You get out there and you meet with someone, you're going to find out you're dealing with some pretty hard-headed, coconut, round-headed, so-and-so. But the bottom line is no matter how hard-headed we are, we have one thought in mind. We're going to stand for freedom. And that way I don't have to put down in this letter to my grandchildren and explain to them why I didn't do nothing. Because you see, if I'd done something, I'd have to stick my head up. I'd have to come out of group therapy. May cost. What's it going to cost you anyway? How many of you all think that this good old state of Texas and good old U.S. is going to last another 5 years? I thought the guy out there on the sidewalk was raising his hand. He was waving at somebody. This is the point. You can't even imagine 2 years because it's snowballing on you. And you don't have an answer. Well, here we are. We don't have all the answers, but we do know because we've studied and learned that we, a people, and we'll get into a little of that this afternoon, if you come back. But we, a people, defined, and they haven't changed the rules. Defined as a people, have rights. And those rights can reach out to that head of state They've even gotten Mr. Bush, the old timer, he can't go to Malaysia as an international warrant for him. This, in Latin America, 2 or 3 of these, and as I told you, European Union seizing, I guess I told you, I talked too much, but they seized 61 people's accounts who were involved with the rebels in Ukraine. That's international law. What we're saying is, we're going to learn the rules, we're going to apply them rules, and we're going to let them know we know the rules. And as a people, we're going to stand. Because first, I don't know about all of it, but I know most of it inquired. And whether they heat the fire 7 times, whether they didn't feed the lion for 2 weeks, I can't bend anymore. And I can't bow anymore. Because then I'll get too old. So I hope you'll be back this afternoon. And I didn't put you to sleep. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is going to be Jerry Lahr, who is one of our past presidents, and he's going to be speaking on what it's like to live in the Republic.